Hello members and supporters, welcome to episode 11 of the Rabbitohs Insider as we head into Indigenous Round against the West Tigers this Saturday night. Now we'll be reviewing our win over the Raiders. We'll take a look at Ello's Play of the Week, brought to you by Zoom Video Communications. We'll preview the game against the Tigers. We'll take a look at the KO keys to the game. We'll take a look at our Pathways teams. And our feature this week is on Yeelan Buddy Gordon and the work he's doing with Deadly Youth. We'll be back in a second.
.339 left, Hodson short side, Whiten rushed up on, got rid of it to Croker, No! Ball came out, South hang on! How did they not score?
As we do every week, we introduce our football manager Mark Ellison and Ello 9-1 after 10 rounds. Couldn't have asked for a better start this season.
It's been a great start to the season, Jez, considering, bit of a change up over the off season. The boys have adapted well to that change and they're going forward each week.
Having a look at last week against the Raiders, what a great defensive performance.
That's been the key to most of our performances this year though, Jez. As the season's got on, it's come about, we've had a few changes to our defensive process and the boys have picked that up well from the coaches and they've all fitted in well and they know what's going on. Some of the stats in the game, like it was 84% completion rates to both teams, 7 errors each. The number of tackles made by each team was about 4 different, but we missed 23 tackles and Canberra missed 31. At the end of the day, it was a semi-final like game, and I think that was the difference between the two teams.
We had to defend some penalties as well, one of our players getting a little out of hand in the first half.
Well, I think the penalty count was Sam 5 and the Raiders 0 at one stage, but yeah, we did. But again, that was something that was spoken about at half-time. And the boys realise if you're going to win these big matches, you can't be giving the other sides a leg up. And we got down to business in the second half. Actually, the back end of the first half, we called our way back in the match. To go into 6-4 at half-time, I thought was a pretty good result for us after the first half.
Everyone's standing up in the face of adversity. We're missing quite a number of our top 30, but particularly in the outside backs where we had Kyle Turner and now this week we had Ethan Lowe playing a second role, playing in the centres, but everyone's just doing their job.
They are, Jeremy, and they know the system well and they're fitting in and they're doing it for each other. They don't want to let any of their teammates down. It's a very close-knit unit. Special mention to Corey Allen, the job he did at fullback. Coming in, he's played on the wing for us, but coming in at such a big game and playing fullback down there, tough conditions, greasy surface. Their kicking game was on song, their field position was pretty solid, and he did a really good job at the back, as did Marwin.
We mentioned defence a couple of times in that review of last week's game, so let's head over to the Zoom room and check out your plays of the week for this week, brought to us by Zoom Video Communications. Okay, Ello, back in the Zoom room for Ello's Play of the Week, and you got a bit of a treat for us this week.
Yeah, Jez, there's 2 plays of the week this week and both involve defensive efforts. Most of the plays of the week so far in the season have been attacking efforts from our team, but this week, semi-final type game, and we needed great defensive efforts, and we got 2 of them. The 2 ones that stand out for me was firstly Cameron Murray and John Sutton's tackle on Papali when he broke through the middle of the field, and then the second half, a great effort, of course, from Corey Allen to save the game for us late in the second half. Let's go to the first one now. Papali gets in the middle of the field, comes straight through, stop it there. Cameron Murray is still chasing back. He's realised the threat and he's chasing. At this stage, you see Damien Cook on the right-hand side of the screen. He's trying to chase back as well. He'll get impeded, but John Sutton's out of the screen over to the right, and he plays an important part late in the tackle to stop Papali putting it down. It's a great effort here from Corey Allen too. Although he doesn't stop him, he puts himself in front of him and slows him down to give the other boys a chance to get back. He's one of the toughest players in the game to tackle head on in this situation. So if we keep it rolling there, Corey's tried to stop him, Sato's coming in, Cameron Murray gets him and turns him onto his back. Obviously the upright helps, but John Sutton and Reno get back there as well. Here we are head on. boom. Here comes Cam and turns him right over onto his back. Bit of assistance from the goalpost, but Sato's there as well. And when you're defending like that, everyone refers to it as scrambling defence. That's what lifts your team.
When you have a look there, it's almost like Cam directs him towards the post, and then Sato does a great job just to shore up underneath so that he can't roll over and get the ball down.
Yeah, the big thing for me with what Cameron does here, you might be right in that area, but what he does, Jez, he could have dived and tried to tackle him around the legs. He knew if he tackles him around the legs, he's just going to score the try. So he's dived full length and got him up around the shoulder area and twisted him so he could get him on his back so he couldn't put the ball down. It was a magnificent effort, and Sato's there to help him in the end and stops him rebounding off the post and getting the ball down.
Great effort. What have we got up for number 2?
Well, the second one is Corey Allen's effort, just in the dying moments of the game when it looks like Croker's going to score. Here it is. Croker in the clear. Corey Allen comes across. Looks like it's all over, but manages to focus on the football. He knows he can't stop him because he changes angle late on him, as you'll see here. And if you stop it here, you'll see Corey Allen has committed himself thinking Croker's going to go for the sideline. All right, obviously this is the toughest tackle in the game to make. Slippery surface down at Canberra. He comes back inside. Corey knows he can't tackle him, but he just focuses on the ball. It's his last hope. It's a desperation effort, but big games need those desperation efforts.
Absolutely, especially with the scoreline as it was and the amount of time left on the clock. There was never going to be another chance to try and peg him back, so that was a massive play.
Yeah, it was a massive play, and Corey Allen's first game at fullback for the club, and he did a really good job.
Hello, 2 great plays of the week, brought to us by Zoom Video Communications.
Great defensive efforts.
I meant look down at my camera, not on the ground. Sweet Jesus! I was looking down!
Well, another great Ello's play of the week there, Ello, brought to us by Zoom Video Communications. But let's have a look at this week's clash. Saturday night, we're back at ANZ Stadium at home, Indigenous Round taking on the West Tigers. What are your thoughts on that game?
Be a tough game, Jez. I mean, the Tigers put in a magnificent performance down against Melbourne on their home ground last week. Probably should have won the match and played some really good football in that and played like a team that's getting on well together, and they want to move forward again this week.
Of course, we're wearing our Indigenous jerseys this week. They look sensational. Let's have a look at what some of the boys said in their media sessions this week about the jersey.
It's always a proud moment putting on the South Sydney Rabbitohs jersey, but this is definitely a very special one, considering it being an Indigenous round, and the design by Uncle Jay Walker, Katie's uncle, who's a proud Wallabal man and from the Bunjalong tribe.
So can you talk to us about the connection with your uncle designing this?
Yeah, he designed it a couple of years ago as well, but it was predominantly more black, so I really feel like this is, represents South Sydney more with the red and green, and with the totems inside the handprint. It's a design that all of us in the first grade squad sort of came together and came up with the design, and he sort of designed it. It's perfect, I reckon. It represents everyone in the club, and there's a bunny on the back that represents everyone within the South Sydney club and within the region.
Yeah, Jez, and those Indigenous jerseys look fantastic, mate, and we know it means a lot to our club, the Indigenous Round.
Absolutely. Now, there's a few familiar faces in the opposition this week. Of course, you got Chris McQueen, Robbie Farah as players, and of course our last premiership winning coach in Michael Maguire. What do you think that's going to do to the dynamics of this game?
Oh, any player or coach that comes up against their former club are going to give their best efforts, Jez, and we're really thankful to Madge and Chris McQueen and Robbie Farah for what they put into our club when they were here. Both helped shape the club to where it's moving to today, so we thank them for that. But they'll be doing their best, obviously, to unsettle us on the weekend and come away with the 2 points.
They certainly will. Now it's another top 8 clash with the Tigers this week. What do you think they're going to do to try and take us down, and what do we need to do to focus on to take them down?
Oh, they'll just play, as Madge likes to play with a lot of discipline in his game. They'll probably try to unsettle us like the Raiders did last week, trying to get a few penalties that force penalties out of us, but I think we'll handle that a lot better this week. But really, we've just got to focus on what we can do best. Defensively, we've been solid and we've got to keep that going and just get our attacking processes back in place, and we go from there.
There's some great matchups here this weekend. Let's take a look at the KO keys to the game. As we said hello, time to take a look at the KO keys to the game. What are the matchups this week?
Well, probably one of the most important matchups is between the hookers. One, Robbie Farah, the former Origin hooker, and obviously Cookie, the current Origin hooker. Both have different sort of avenues where they help their team more. Robbie's particularly good on our try line by getting repeat sets, whereas Cookie has come up with a few more try assists than Robbie because he's looking to run the ball more out of dummy half than probably Robbie does. But both show a lot of guile. Cookie a little bit quicker than Robbie, but Robbie's had that experience to take him through and his team to get through the tough moments. They're both obviously targets for both teams' defence, so they make very similar amounts of tackles each week. But that'll be a key area of the game for both teams. The other one's a battle of the halfbacks. Obviously Luke Brooks from the Tigers and our Adam Reynolds. Kicking game's really important there. But Rena's just come up with a few more try assists this season than Luke Brooks has, so hopefully he continues that this week. He's been a little bit unlocked in the attacking process this year, and it's really showing in his game. I think he's getting a lot of enjoyment out of his football.
Great insight there, Ello. Thank you for taking us through the KO keys to the game and for all your comments here today for our members and supporters.
Great to be here again, Jess.
Good stuff. Now it's time to take a look at our pathway squads.
Thanks for that, Jez, and welcome to another Pathways wrap-up. We're going to check out all the results from the weekend, as well as preview this week's Canterbury Cup match. Depleted Canterbury Cup side were gallant in their defeat to the first-place Mounties, going down 32-18 at Panthers Stadium. The Rabbitohs were without captain Billy Britton, 5'8" Connor Tracy, as well as Dean Britt and Moeni Horodi, who played in the NRL match later that day, with the likes of Jersey Flag players James Tauteo-Lafua and Josh Cook deputising, along with new signing Levi Dodds making his Rabbitohs debut. After trailing 24-6 at the break, the Red and Green surged in the second half to come within 8 points of the ladder leaders, and while it wasn't enough to secure victory, Shane Millard's men finished the match in a positive light. Similarly, the Harvey Norman Women's Premiership side travelled to Cronulla to take on a red-hot Sharks outfit. The home side laid on 6 first-half tries to mount a considerable lead at the break after the Rabbitohs were starved of possession, but tries to Candy Kennedy, Rihanna Sutherland and Taylor Pilley brought back some life into the side in the second half. The team will now have a well-earned fortnight off before returning to the Metricon High Performance Centre at Redfern Oval against CRL Newcastle. And Brock Schaefer caught up with rising star Josh Cook earlier in the week.
Thanks, Dre. We're joined by Josh Cook. Josh, I want to start by congratulating you, mate. It's been a ripper start to the year and one that really kicked off in the pre-season. Your first opportunity to train full-time with the NRL squad. How was that for you?
It's an unreal experience. I've loved every moment being around the senior boys and just being around them, training with them, learning a lot, especially the New South Wales hooker, Damien Cook, Billy Britton as well. It's just it's a good experience and I'm loving every minute.
And you did have a little bit of an injury setback at the end of that pre-season, but you've ripped into the competition now. You've played a few games of Jersey Flag, and then on the weekend you put on the Canterbury Cup jersey. How was that?
Unreal experience. I did have a bad run of injuries. I done my shoulder and my ankle, and it's just all about how you come back to these things. This happens, it's a part of the sport. And getting the chance to play Canterbury Cup on the weekend was just, it's a goal of mine. I said at the start of the year, return, play some good footy, play in the flag and just, get my chance to play Canterbury Cup, and I loved every second of it.
That's good to hear, and I know the coaching staff have been really impressed with both your attitude as well as your performances. What have they been saying to you about your development? What are their goals for you, and then what are your own personal goals for this season?
Just to get as much as I can, learning, like I said, from Billy and Damien and being around Wayne Bennett and that. Just, keep going, week in, week out, play consistent footy, learn as much as you can, and just do the best you can every week.
Well, you're a joy to have around the club, mate, so good luck with the rest of your footy this year.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, thanks for that, Brock, and the Canterbury Cup side will be back here at the Metricon High Performance Centre to take on the Western Suburbs Magpies in what is looking to be an absolute cracker of a match. So come on down, support the boys, and it's a dog-friendly event as well, so bring your canine companions. And that's it for this week's Pathways Wrap-Up.
Good luck to our Canterbury Cup team this weekend against the Western Suburbs Magpies. Make sure you get down to Redfern Oval on Sunday to support the boys. And again, thank you very much for watching the Rabbitohs Insider this week. But before you go, take a look at our feature this week on Yeelan Buddy Gordon and South Care's Deadly Youth Program.
For many young offenders, juvenile detention is the first stop on a long
It costs
career
the taxpayer $240,000 a year to keep a young person.
When you start to analyse the reasons why they're going in, a lot of those reasons can be addressed if we invest in development of those people and create meaningful
without more
jobs.
funding for support services, young people will continue to find themselves in detention.
My name's Ellison Gordon. I grew up in South Sydney area in a place called Waterloo. I was lucky enough to play footy for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and now I've come back around full circle and currently doing the Deadly Youth mentoring role here at South Cares.
South Cares developed the Deadly Youth Mentoring Program in response to a community need. So this program is for kids that are between 10 to 17 that are coming to the attention of the police, might be truanting school, might be, associating themselves with drug and alcohol, violence, or whatever it may be. And we've got a dedicated mentor who's a local, like from the community, and has grown up in the area, and probably experienced a lot of the struggles that the kids are going through. So it's more of an approach that the kids they're able to relate to the kids.
Patel, Noah, and others. Gordon is there. Yeelan Gordon came down with it. It was a clean catch. He was onside, and the Rabbitohs, they do hit straight back.
I grew up in the Waterloo area. I love footy, couldn't get enough of it. Went on to play South Sydney Rabbitohs, where I probably come in a bit too early for myself as an 18-year-old. All of a sudden I come from nothing, basically, housing to having all this money and not knowing what to do with it. So I was just drinking it, partying, not really thinking about being a first-grade footballer. And that had some effects on me. I lost contracts over it and just really didn't appreciate the opportunity that I had. I finished up with footy and I went on and got a trade as a plumber. It helped me focus a bit more on life, having 3 kids now, so helped me, having the children, really open my eyes up to what is important, and that is building a future for myself and now my children. So part of that is giving back, and the program that we're doing is a big part of it. So being selfless and trying to give back more than I take.
So the uniqueness about this program is that it's an individualised approach. It's not a blanket approach program at all. What works for one kid's not necessarily going to work for the next. So one thing we do is identify the needs of that individual and set out an action plan in order to support that, with short-term goal setting as well as long-term goal setting, and also rewarding and recognition once they've met short-term goals.
So today we're on our way to pick up Jaden. It's one of the kids who was referred to us by the Bondi Centre. Jaden's currently going through a early drug psychosis rehab program, and they referred him to us. He comes from a pretty unstable home life where his mother's been a drug abuser as long as he remembers, which for a 16-year-old would be pretty daunting. And the fact that he's highly dosed on medication also, makes it hard to for him to do everyday things. Like getting up at a decent hour, attending appointments on time. It's a work in progress, but something I enjoy doing with Jaden. Oh, how you going?
Oh, hello.
I'm Yeelan. Is Jaden in? I missed you the other week. Had a little bit of a panic attack. Where'd you go? Just your mates? Oh, that's all right. Yeah, each Wednesday I come along and pick Jaden up and take him for a physical activity, which I think for what he's doing is very important. for the simple fact that, you know, the physical exercise is something that we all need and enjoy. And I think he enjoys it as well, but also the social aspect, where yeah, he's able to get amongst other kids who, you know, are around the same age, you know, going through the same problems, but yeah, we're able to have a bit of fun doing it, and I enjoy it. Yeah, actually missed him last week and had a bit of a panic attack, only to find out that he was actually spending time with a couple of other friends of his. So, which I encourage too, because during his rehab program, there are other kids who are going through the same problems, but they come from different social groups. So I encourage him to spend a bit of time with his mates, and yeah, I think that's very healthy for him as well, to come along as a young man. So one of the kids I work with is Caleb Ingray. He's from the Rabbitohs community. He's currently lives with his mother, who's a single parent and a victim of domestic abuse, and this is filtered down into Caleb's behaviours at school, which is demonstrated through being disruptive in class, violence towards other students. Another one of the kids I work with is Jara Mongta. He also resides in the Rabbitohs community. He has two parents, one who's terminally ill and the other parent is an alcoholic. So Jara's home life is very distractive, and I think he finds a lot of peace and quiet at school. So he's very intelligent, and sitting in class with him I can see that, but he becomes very disrupted when stuff at home isn't going too well. So I try and help him out every way I can when I'm in class with him. The whole process with Caleb and Jara kicked off with the Aboriginal Education Officer named Selena Brown at Rabbitohs Public. She gave me a referral, and the way I like to do the referrals is have a sit down with both the parents and discuss what the program's about, what some of the goals the boys would like to achieve, and we go through a plan, you know, what they hope to achieve during the program, and what outcomes they want, you know, for themselves and both the parents as well. Some of the challenges have been the attendance. So the boys obviously have destructive home lives. One of the parents being alcoholic, another one of the boys' parents being a single mother who's very shy and doesn't like to have too much interaction with men, and including myself, just through previous relationships and encounters. So yeah, that attendance and just communication through the parents has been very hard. We can do it next week, but you have to come to school. So obviously these boys are in primary school, so really putting the emphasis on education, because being so young, that is most important for them. But some of the challenges have been just being able to see them with organising times and dates for me to turn up and sit in class with them, and, you know, go through their work and stuff. Something as simple as that, just due to the fact that the parents, you know, mightn't want to take them to school that day, or, you know, there's no routine for them when it comes to school. It's just, do you feel like I'm at school today? Yep. The boys have been really good. Without them even knowing it, they're actually leaders within their own class. So when they're doing their work and yeah, on task, the rest of the class follows and everyone works really well. But when the boys are, you know, disrupted and not feeling like they want to do work, the whole class tends to feed off that negative energy. So when they're really doing well, the class goes well. So they're little leaders without even realising it. They've been really good with me. They listen real well, you know. Obviously the breeding of South Sydney plays a big part in it, but, you know, the way I talk to them is, you know, very, very straightforward. I don't try and, you know, be anything else. I'll just be up front with them, even though they're young boys. They respond really well to that, and yeah, they've been really good to work with. Yep.
You need to find
So wait.
carbon dioxide.
See?
Sentences that talk about carbon dioxide.
There you go. So that would be the first one. Use read through and make sure Yeah, read the, here's what you gotta do, you gotta read that. So read that so you know what the words are first. Okay? Yeah, that's what it's telling you what it is. That's photosynthesis, and it tells you what. Yeah, so today I come to class and sat in with Jara and Caleb, just sat in with the boys, they're two of the kids in the program, and yeah, done some schoolwork with them, and yeah, just seeing them in the classroom environment and see how the boys behave. And yeah, try and make it a weekly thing with them, and you know, if they keep up their end of the bargain, there's obviously rewards, and we go on outings, which I enjoy as much as they do. So what this one wants you to do is introduce the whole paragraph. So. Yeah.